All right, I'm in. It's terrific. I'm here. You guys didn't start without me, I hope. I'm pretty excited today. I get to talk about one of my very favorite authors, and I've got a book, a new book, signed and limited edition of his. I'm really excited about that, called The Night and the Music. To start with, I'd like to know something. Why can't we just let Liam Neeson be Matthew Scudder? Why is it that every Liam Neeson movie comes out, we have to expect Taken Part 9 or 10 or what have you? Every Liam Neeson role is not taken. And that's, I think that was one of the biggest problems with a very terrific movie starring Liam Neeson called A Walk Among the Tombstones. People tuned in expecting to see Taken Part what have you, and they got something very different. Playing the role of Matthew Scudder, probably Lawrence Block's most famous character, and he did a great job, and they made a great film, but it really didn't do well. And even Lawrence Block himself says, I think people just were expecting Taken, and they got something very different. Anyway, I'm here today to talk about a Matthew Scudder book that's come out. Myself, I've been collecting Lawrence Block books since about 2002, I want to say, and I stumbled upon Lawrence Block in a strange way. As a professional wrestling fan, there was a professional wrestler named Lance Storm who on his website decided to start a book club. Professional wrestler starting a book club. It seems weird, but it was cool nonetheless. He got a lot of folks reading books, got a lot of folks talking about books, and he also did a good job of getting author participation. Well, one of those early books that he did, I want to say 2002, but it might have been 03, I don't remember exactly now. One of those first books he did was called The Burglar in the Closet, and which is the second book in the Bernie Roddenberry Burglar series by Lawrence Block. I believe, if I remember right, Lawrence Block asked him to do the second book instead of the first because the first book wasn't in print. The second book was in print at the time. So naturally, we kill two birds with one stone. We get people to go out and buy a book that they can actually buy as opposed to one that's not for sale at the stores unless you get a used book. But at the end of the day, people would read the book. They would write their little reviews. Lawrence Block would comment on the reviews and kind of talk about the book, the character, as well as responding to some of the reviews that were posted on the website. So it worked out real good. But I cheated. Sometimes I cheat. I don't follow every rule. So instead of reading Burglar in the Closet, I went and got Burglars Can't Be Choosers. My local library had it on the shelf. So I started at the beginning, read Burglars Can't Be Choosers, and I loved it. I loved the character. I really felt like I was reading a Thin Man movie in a way. There's just that kind of a feel. And the endings of the books also would remind me of the Thin Man. But Bernie Roddenberry was like a comic mystery. There were some laughs in there, and you never really got the sense that he was done in. He'd be in a real bad spot, but you kind of always knew he was going to be okay. Things were going to work out fine. So as a Lawrence Block reader and a collector, I started and stopped with Bernie Roddenberry. And for years, I would tell people one of my very favorite authors is Lawrence Block. And the Bernie Roddenberry mysteries, you got to read them. I love them, and I always recommend them. But when I talk to fans that really like Lawrence Block, most of them were more into the Matthew Scudder stuff, which is more, I want to say, traditional crime fiction. Matthew Scudder, he was an ex-cop, alcoholic, and bad things happened, and his life was on the skids, and he started doing some detective work. He was a good fella, and that's the kind of, it was a little bit on the darker side, a little bit on the B side of life, as opposed to having fun and funny like the Bernie Roddenberry stuff was. But still, I didn't jump right into Scudder. The next thing I read from Lawrence Block was Hitman, a C.J. Keller book. C.J. Keller is a hitman who really doesn't want to be a hitman. He really doesn't want to live that kind of an isolated life that he lived, and he would fantasize about living in other people's shoes, whether it be living a simple life, living in the country, living in wherever. He would always fantasize about being a regular person. And that was a great series too. And then finally I decided, hey, I got to go jump into Scudder. So I've got quite a few Matthew Scudder books, a nice collection I feel like. But there was one missing, a collection of short stories called The Night and the Music, and it was only available in paperback, like a trade paperback version. I never actually even bought that book. And then one day, Subterranean Press, thank you, I don't know you, William Schaefer, but thank you, I appreciate it. I assume that's a Lawrence Block fan as well. One day he announced he was going to do a signed and limited edition of The Night and the Music, and I, giddy as a squirrel girl, jumped right in, ordered as fast as I could. And then at some point later on, I realized I jumped in a little bit too fast and ordered a little bit too much. Somehow I ended up ordering 3 books. And instead of just saying, no, I only wanted one, try to get a refund, I figured I'll figure it out at some point. So what I believe I'm getting today is 3 copies of The Night and the Music by Lawrence Block from Subterranean Press. And so without further ado, let's take a look and see what we got. Packaging being an issue, it looks like we did a pretty good job. Appreciate the effort. Now we got to get rid of this tape, and I don't like biting tape, so I'll use my little knife here, cutting away from the body as I actually have to make sure people cut stuff the right way, because a lot of folks in the workplace get injured that way. Cutting the cardboard, making sure I don't cut through the tape to get anything good inside. All right, we open up the box here, and what do I see? The good stuff, the stuff that protects them books, and the stuff you gotta clean up when you're done. So, opening up my box, I got me a book here. It says paid, good. I don't know, no money on that one. And hey, I got 2 more. Looks like I got 3 after all. So we'll go ahead and open up one of them, take a look and see what we got here. I won't bother going through all 3. Hopefully they're exactly the same. I was reading on Lawrence Block Book Collectors group on Facebook. A lot of times I'll post stuff from Lawrence Block's newsletter in there. And when he released his last actual novel that's come out called Dead Girl Blues, they gave an opportunity for you to order signed copies. And I can't remember exactly now, but I think it was Mysterious Bookshop in New York, but I could be wrong. Sorry if I'm wrong. Please forgive me. But he in his newsletter, he was giving people a chance, if they ordered by a certain date, they could get an autographed copy. And in that newsletter, he also said that he probably will never do any more book signings again. And he said, I'm definitely not going to allow people to send me books. So what I've now found is I find, as a Lawrence Block book collector, getting signed copies of his book has become pretty important to me. Anyway, I was really excited to get this one. And The Night and the Music. One of the things interesting about this one is, at least in my experience with Subterranean Press, and I've got a lot of Subterranean Press books, it's surprising sometimes when you start looking through the publishers that you have, how many you end up with of a particular one. And I want to say I got quite a few from Subterranean Press. Anyway, what I've noticed is typically there's not a lot of difference between the limited editions and the trade editions. There are some. When you take off the dust jackets, often you'll see a different material used for the boards, but you'll have the same kind of artwork and such as that. And as a collector, I'll often get trades and limiteds if they're different, because I don't want to have 2 books sitting on the shelf that look exactly the same when you look at it. So typically, if that's the case, I'll get the one that is rarer, that's signed, that's limited edition. But on this book, there are the artwork on the dust jacket is a little bit different, and I've just looked at pictures, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But some of the colors of the title and things like that are different at a glance, so there's a little bit of a difference. from the limited to the trade. So at some point I'll probably try to get the trade copy, and I really would like to get one from a publisher that's selling signed trade copies or signed trade versions. So the Night in the Music is a collection of Matthew Scudder stories, and for the limited edition there's actually extra material, and I believe there's another story that's included here that's not included in the previous soft cover copy or in the trade cover copy from Subterranean Press. So at least take a look here at the signature page and see what number I got. It's beautiful. What a beautiful signature page. I love the covers. Signed by Lawrence Block, number 110. I could not be happier with what I got. As usual, at least in my experience, I've never ordered a book from Subterranean Press that I didn't like. I get good packaging. I get a quality book. You often will get some really cool artwork. I cannot complain at all. And in this case, I'm very happy. Not only do I get to add another signed limited edition to my Lawrence Block collection, but it sure looks good. And it's one that, while not a new book, it's got new content, and it's the first time this thing's ever been offered in a signed limited edition. First time it's been offered in a hardcover edition. So thank you, folks at Subterranean Press. Anybody that publishes Lawrence Block signed limited editions, I'm a fan of. SST has recently put out Lawrence Block signed limited edition as well. Another great publisher. I would definitely recommend checking them out, as well as the Subterranean Press. And as far as I know, that's it. Although I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But anyway, I'm out. C'est la vie, baby.